Hi, welcome to Expound Digital. Today we will learn how to start your development on Visual Studio Code for Salesforce Lightning Web Components. This is a must-read blog to move from Eclipse development to Visual Studio Code for Salesforce. So let's begin. Versus Code is a free lightweight code editor which runs on the Mac OS, Linux and Windows operating systems. Follow the platform-specific guides as follows. Installation steps for Visual Studio Code on Windows. Step 1. Download the Visual Studio Code installer for Windows. Step 2. Once it is downloaded, run the installer, VS Code User Setup version. exe. This will only take a minute. By default, Visual Studio Code is installed under path shown on the screen. Installation steps for Visual Studio Code on Ubuntu. The easiest way to install Visual Studio Code for Debian/Ubuntu-based distributions is to download and install the Deb package 64-bit, either through the Graphical Software Center if it's available, or through the command line with the script shown on the screen. If you're on an older Linux distribution, you will need to run this instead. Sudo dpkgi file deb. Sudo apt-get install f. Installing the Deb package will automatically install the apt repository and signing key to enable auto-updating using the system's package manager. Note that 32-bit and tar.gz binaries are also available on the Visual Studio Code download page. The repository and key can also be installed manually with the script shown on the screen. Then update the package cache and install the package using sudo apt-get install apt transport https sudo apt-get update sudo apt-get install code. Installation steps for Visual Studio Code on Mac OS. Step 1. Download Visual Studio Code for Mac OS. Step 2. Double-click on the downloaded archive to expand the contents. Step 3. Drag Visual Studio Code.app to the Applications folder, making it available in the Launchpad. Step 4. Add Versus Code to your dock by right-clicking on the icon to bring up the context menu and choosing Options, Keep in Dock. After successful installation of Visual Studio Code, next we need to install SFDC CLI. Link is in the description to download the SFDC CLI. Next, install the Salesforce extension for Versus Code and Force Code extensions in Visual Studio. Now restart the Visual Studio Code software. Next, let's see how to create a project in Visual Studio. Step 1. Press Ctrl+Shift+P and select Create Project with Manifest command. Step 2. Enter project name for local machine folder creation and select the position where you want to store the project files. Step 3. Press Ctrl+Shift+P and select Authorize an org to get the org connected with local folder. Step 4. Select the org base URL and enter a name of connection which would be used locally to denote the unique credentials at VS Code. Step 5. A browser window will open up automatically. Enter org credentials and log in. Once login is successful, go back to VS Code. It will show up success message with an information at the center bottom to close the browser window as authorization is complete now. This will create a void project locally. Now let's see how to take refresh of code and metadata from Salesforce org and connect Salesforce with Visual Studio Code on local machine. Step 1. Open package.xml file which comes under manifest folder. Step 2. Right-click and select refresh from manifest. This will start up the refresh process and it may take couple to minutes to complete. Once refresh is complete, it will show a flash message pop-up at bottom, else error pop-up will show. Note, if you want to get some new component type from Salesforce org, then you need to update the package XML file accordingly and refresh again. Finally, we are ready to create our first Lightning Web component. For creating a LWC file, just right-click on LWC folder under Force app and select Create Lightning Web Component. Then enter desired file names and enter. This will create a basic Lightning Web component locally. For deployment of that component, just double-click on the Lightning Web component file and select Deploy this from source to org, and this will deploy the current file to connected Salesforce environment. Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you have watched so far. And stay tuned with Expound Digital for more episodes on Lightning Web components and other tech updates.